Today's panel discussion is part of the pre-dialogue series leading up to the regional dialogue on youth empowerment for climate actions, which is co-convened by UNDP Asia Pacific, UNICEF, UNFCCC, British Council, and YOUNGO movers and 2030 youth both. So we are like collaborating with so many cool organizations, and also we'll have 4 panelists join us today from all across Asia Pacific. They are all amazing young leaders in terms of in the field of climate action. So yeah. Oh, who's the quiz winner? Keith? Is that you? Oh yeah, congratulations to you. And yes, we are having the series of virtual events leading up to the regional dialogue. So today is also part of that. Today's panel discussion will be on the topic of youth steering the future of climate change, where we'll be talking about how young people can take action for our climate and for our Earth. Before we dive into our panel discussions, I want to do some icebreakers with all of our audiences, and also it's a way to help you get familiar with using the Zoom. So first, I'll ask a series of questions. You can feel free to type in the chat. So the first question is, where do you come from, and which city are you joining us from? Well, actually, I'm now in Beijing, China. It's 9 p.m. in the evening. Tashing is calling from Dhaka. We have Damayanti from Indonesia. Boyuan is from Shenyang, China. So many places around the region. Anisha from Goa, India. Quynh-Anh from Hanoi. Oh, we also have you from London. Good morning. We shouldn't say good evening to you. Jiayu from Shanghai. Linka is originally from China, but calling from Bangkok. We have friends from Philippines, Vietnam. Oh, so many. Like we're connecting the region, the youth from all across the region, and welcome you all. So the second question is, since our topic is on youth action towards climate change, so how old are you? Let's do this. Oh, we're receiving the numbers 22, 20, 27, 21. Wow, cool. You guys are the future. Quynh-Anh, 27. So final question of the day. From 0 to 10, how satisfied are you with your personal climate action? Please give yourself a bit of the rating from 0 to 10. I know many of you are very interested in this topic and want to get inspired by our panelists. So we are receiving different numbers. 6, 7, 2, 5 from Dinglong, 6 from Savi, 6 from Sagar. Everyone is so modest, and hopefully this number can go up. And thanks to today's sharing from our panelists, and you guys can get more inspirations on where to act in the future. So yeah, that's so awesome. Thank you for all the questions and feedbacks. Also, if you'd like to react during the panel discussion, feel free to also use the chat and use the emojis of the Zoom at the bottom of their line to give a virtual applause or a virtual thumbs up to our panelists. Okay. So next part, we will introduce our panelists to you. And then we'll kick off the conversation, and I'll be the moderator asking questions to different panelists, and they will have certain time to answer. At the end of today's panel discussion, we will also open up the floor to our audiences, give you an opportunity to ask specific questions, so you can keep the questions going in the chat, and we'll help you answer that at the end of today's panel discussion. Okay, so everything sounds good. Now let's get started with the panel discussion. So first, I will invite our 4 panelists to give a self-introduction of themselves. So we'll do in this order. So, you know, our 4 panelists are from different countries. So I'll do the order from east to the west. So Jen is from the Philippines. And Jen, would you like to be the first to give us a self-introduction?
All right. So hello, everyone. I am Kairel Guillermo. I am from the Philippines, but I'm currently based here now in Singapore. I am a survivor of the Typhoon Haiyan in 2013, and I'm currently a YOUNGO member at the same time serving as the YOUNGO COI Liaison Officer. And I am leading the Global Affairs Unit. So I'll be sharing, hoping that I'll be sharing with you today insightful works of mine in my province as well, and in the global. So it's nice to meet you all.
Thank you, Jen. Very looking forward to your sharing. And yeah, and next we will move a little bit Western. Then we'll have Quynh-Anh from Vietnam.
Hi everyone. So my name is Quynh-Anh Bui, and I'm now currently working for UNDP Vietnam and focusing on youth engagement and private sector engagement towards implementing the national climate targets. So sorry that my voice is a bit weird today because of the serious air pollutions here. Hanoi was like the top polluted, actually top of the top polluted cities, capitals recently, and also is because of the surprise cold spell in Vietnam as well. So I'm happy to be here and sharing about my experience in youth engagement and also about experience of climate impacts in Vietnam. Nice to meet you all.
Thank you, Quynh-Anh. Take care of your voices and drink more hot water, as we always say that in Chinese. Drink, yeah. Yeah, and I really like your Aurora background. What a gift from our nature, right? Okay, then we have Sagar and Ibothoi. Actually, Sagar is from Nepal and Ibothoi is from India. So if we compare the positions of these countries, quite you know, similar. So hard to decide which is more Eastern or Western. So next, I will give the floor to Sagar. Hi, Sagar.
Hello, Jasmine, and hello everyone. Well, actually, I think Ibothoi is from Northeast, and actually he is easter than my place. Despite that, no worries. So hello everyone. My name is Sagar Koirala. So I am a youth ambassador of Real Food System and have been advocating for sustainable agri-food systems since past few years. And I have also been involved in climate activism since past 5 years, and have been involved with numerous organizations and have been awarded by UNDP as well. I'm looking forward to share my experiences, my learnings from Nepal perspective, and having a good time. Thank you.
Thank you, Sagar. And then Ibothoi, would you like to introduce yourself to everyone a bit about your climate background and what's happening in?
Yeah, thank you, Jasmine. Hello, everyone. I am Ibothoi Konthoujam. I am from Impal, India. I'm actually my profession is educator. So I work in the education sector since the last 7 years. Actually, I'm working in the rural area of the Manipur. Manipur is a state of the India, in the northeastern part of the India. So I work with the most marginalized and vulnerable group of children who are lack of the who are the economically weaker section of children. So yeah, I have started my career and my profession as a teaching career. Apart from that, I'm also working for improving or for reviving the environment, especially in the rural part of the India. For that matter, I work with many organizations, and then among them, I'm also a global shepherd. It is a youth organization under the initiative of the World Economic Forum Geneva. So I'm a global shepherd at the Global Shepherds community in Pan Hub, and yeah, I am also a B Force coordinator. There is an B Force coordinator at United Nations Volunteer India. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ibothoi, for sharing your background. And it's very happy to see how the work you're doing is so great in terms of climate education, about the advocacy in India. So thank you all for the introduction. And also, as a footnote, Sagar and Ibothoi are also from our movers community. So they will also be facilitating movers workshop on climate. So if you have interest in that, we will also update you with the information on movers program as well. So today we'll have our first question to every one of our panelists, is that when did you start to care about and advocate for climate action? And what aspect of climate change matters to you the most? So you can feel free to open your mic if you want to speak first. Like, let's reflect a little bit on what brings you to the world of climate action, and what is the most important or significant topic in fields of climate change that matters to you.
Yeah, I will take the opportunity to start from first. Okay. After my college, up to the my college standard, even I don't care about I do not matter about the climate change. Just I'm focusing on my career and something like that. But after my college, I have partnered with many organizations. After that, my college voluntary organization, and then many youth organizations. And then after my college, I can understand the actual happening of the climate change. When I went to some different parts of my state, some farmers they were destroyed by the climate change, by the environment, but like the global warming. So the most aspect of the climate change that I matter about is about the global warming. It's adversely affected to the rural farmers. As you know, in India, the most of the people, they are depend on the agriculture. So in the Manipur, especially in the Manipur, so the rural areas, these are most of the people, they are practice only the agriculture. So when the global warming issue is happened in Manipur also, in the from the last 5-6 years, we can understand distinctly about the changes happen due to the climate change. So from that scenario, I care about the environments. So I think about the climate change, and I try to understand more about the climate change. So that I start working at the Global Shepherds community in 2017. I joined the Global Shepherds community in 2017. And then from that moment, I got so many training about the climate change, like the climate reality training from the Climate Reality Project, Washington. In that way, I also start working to improve the quality of the environment, quality of the air, and then reviving the environments by doing some small initiative, starting from my family, from my local community. So when I joined the Global Shepherds community, so we have started a project called the Trilinear. Actually, the project is initiated by the Global Shepherds community, Dhaka Hub. So it is a common project. So during that project, we have planted around 10,000 trees in different parts of the Manipur. So from the crowdfunding and then from a donation, we gather all the resources and started that that plantation. From that moment, after the plantation, then when we went to different area for tracking or for getting the reports about the planted trees. So from that moment, I can realize that only the plantation, only the planting of the trees cannot cope the issues of the climate change or the environment, degradation of the environment. Then we need to make our people about the issues of the climate change. And then we need to educate the community, we need to educate the youth and people about the climate change. Then we can help to fight about the climate change issue. So from that moment, I went to different people who are working tirelessly about the climate issue. I went to some scientists, I went to some research scholars, and then got the knowledge from them and start doing something at my local community about the climate change. And then it starts the educating people, starting from my children, that is about the rural children, aligned with the general education, and I'm educating the general education as well as the climate education. In that way, I start about the warrior as a climate change warrior.
Thank you, Ibothoi. I really can relate it to that. Like you plant a tree, but it can have certain effect to absorb more carbon dioxide, but it's never enough. Like the core part, like, is to let more people know about this issue and care for it. Maybe that can be a more impactful act. And we'd also like to hear from you more on your education experience later in today's panel discussion. So what about Jen? You mentioned that like during your childhood, there's some experience related to climate, some extreme weathers, right? So could you share more on that and introduce that? What brings you to the world of climate action?
Great. So yeah, having here in the world of climate movement, for me, there are two areas. It's personal and, of course, my global commitment. So on a personal level, for me, it is like etched already in my heart. Having when I survived Super Typhoon Haiyan back in 2013. I mean, from the very beginning in our schools and secondary and even in grade school, climate change is always a topic. So it's not a taboo discussion for us. But for me, it was all a theory. Like it was all like, okay, this is a topic. This is climate change is this and that. But I didn't understand, of course, because sometimes to see or to experience is to believe. And then suddenly one day, we have this news come in saying that our region will be experiencing this typhoon, and we don't even care. So that's because in our province we are used to it. Like we have the average of 27 typhoons a year. So when that news came out, and then suddenly, we even have a rehearsal before that. So our performers are still in the studio dancing because again we don't understand what climate change is. And then when the typhoon hit, it's all havoc, and you can see, like, if you can see in the movies, like dead bodies on the streets. It's like an anarchy or like an apocalyptic film, and it was real. And that's why it hit me so hard. And that time I was still serving as a government official. We have this special inclusion in the Philippine Constitution where youth can be represented in the government system. We call it Sangguniang Kabataan, or the Youth Council. We have a special program for that. So at that time, I was still sitting as a legislator in our municipal council, and it hit me so hard that, like, oh my God, what is happening? And climate change is really real. So plus the fact that Leyte, or Eastern Visayas, is the third poorest region in the Philippines, and that made me realize that this advocacy should be the global leaders, or our leaders in the Philippines, should be focusing more on this discussion. And then while we are doing the rehabilitation efforts, I also found out that only climate and only arts and culture is being left unfunded by by the United Nations, by the government. And looking at my perspective, that I am from the arts sector, I mean, I am from the culture and heritage industry. It hurts me so bad that there's no funding for the youth, or for the culture and heritage, to be specific. So instead of me complaining what the government cannot do or what the UN cannot do, I step forward like, okay, let's do it. I'm gonna do it. So I arrived in Singapore, taking up the scholarship of arts management. It was offered by the government of Singapore. And yeah, because I mean, for me, change can happen, development can happen if it's a collaborative effort between the government and the people. It shouldn't be only the people, it should only be the government. So I always have this idea that if no one else will, I should. So that is on a personal perspective, as a survivor of typhoon, as a government official. And on the global perspective, I participated in the UN Climate Change Conference back in 2011 in Paris. That was 2 years after the typhoon. And when I went there, that was 5,000 delegates, I guess. And there's only like, I think, few delegates from Southeast Asia. So we are unrepresented. So I mean, if this is a global conference, if this is an international gathering, the youth from the Asia Pacific or the youth from Southeast Asia should be here, involving in this negotiation process, because YOUNGO is already there. YOUNGO is already in the sitting in the UNFCCC. We are already bringing positions, but we are not there. So again, in a global perspective, I have this in mind that we should participate, we should be involved, and that's the reason why I participated in YOUNGO. I use the arts as a medium to educate the people, because I think, especially in the Philippines, that people are, they don't care about climate change, especially in the rural areas. I mean, they know about it, but they don't care because their priority is putting food in the table. But again, if you understand in socio-cultural behavior, Filipinos, if you turn on the music, put on the karaoke, switch on the music, they will dance and sing, right? So using this as entry point to penetrate to them, like, okay, how about if we're gonna switch on the music, put on the performance while putting climate change, or let's say biodiversity protection, in that context, then people will be entertained. People will be listening to our educational material while being entertained. So that's how we conceive the idea of edutainment, where you educate at the same time you entertain them. So that's the time these people, despite of being underprivileged, they have the capacity to understand, like, okay, this is climate change. So we from that edutainment, we have this program what we call Earthivism, or Earth, Art, and Activism. So again, our entry point is using the socio-cultural behavior, socio-cultural aspect of a specific country, and we bring these stories globally. I'm proud to say that our programs is being highlighted in different programs. Like, we represented the Philippines to various international events and conferences to share the stories of typhoon. At the same time, how our program is effective in delivering or educating the people in different spectrum. So that's how I advocate for climate action. It's personal, it's global, at the same time, passion at the same time. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Jane, for your inspiring sharing. I really like your quote, if no one else does it, I should. I do think that it can relate to each one of the young person around the world. How about just start from my end and use my own observation of our community and choose the most suitable ways for them. And yes, and we like to hear more on the art plus climate communication later on from Jane. So our questions will go to Quynh-Anh. What about you? What part of climate action do you care the most, and why did you start to care about it?
Sorry, I was like so into the stories of Ibothoi and Jan's, like so inspiring, and resonates a lot with all of your stories about like the critical role of like how to raise awareness among people, and also like why don't we use art and culture and creative communications to raise awareness from the people, like to make them more pay attention to the serious issues that affects them every day. So for me, the climate actions that are most meaningful for me is more what I interested the most is the more adaptations, because I'm coming from developing countries, and I'm more familiar with the stories of people of inequalities and people, poor peoples that like having not enough basic living conditions here in Vietnam. So it's also like back to the questions that you're asking about how we start with the climate caring about climate change. Actually, I start without like really caring about climate change. I was started my career in communications and advertisement industry, where it's like a lot of profit-based business and like trying to promoting consumerisms and stuff. And then like I just one time I had the chance to work on public health project and visited some provinces in the Mekong Delta, and I see the conditions of the people like literally living in very fragile houses and in the middle of the river, and then I'm just like really care about, I want to so seeing that moment, I feel like I want to work in developments, not in some profit-based like business. So I decided to quit my job after 2 years of working in that company, to quit my job and then start looking for like a course in development studies, but also I have environmental interests, so I just looking for some course like that, but totally have no ideas about climate change. But then I found this course in the Institute of Development Studies in the UK, and they have a course in climate change development and policy. So I'm just saying that like maybe I should study this one because it's more like narrow. But then after when I'm studying climate change there, I see that it's a cross-cutting topic and is actually should be considered in every development issues. So it was when I start to really get involved in climate change, and then I had a chance to work interns at the UN Climate Change in Bonn, and then Green Climate Fund in the Sondo, so that was like the first questions, right? The second questions about like adaptations, why I'm interested in that, because I also like still having this interest in developments issues and link it with climate change and how to like really integrate climate story, climate issues in every developments issues, gender inequality, poverty, and what else? Your questions have two parts, right?
Yes, I think
I remember right.
Yes. Yes, I think to answer the second question, you mean like you really cares about the adaptation part and how the climate action can be linked with like your communication background, and we can go deep on this later on. Thank you,
Yeah.
Quynh-Anh. And now, yeah.
No worries.
Okay, so Sagar, would you like to answer the question? When did you start to care about climate change?
Thank you, Lee, for the question. And it is really wonderful to listen from such climate activists like Ibothoi, Chan, and Quynh-Anh. And I'm very blessed to be to share this space with them. Yeah, and I started my climate activism back when I was in school. I didn't do it wasn't much seriously as I am doing now. But at the time, I used to do some plantation activities through child clubs, some cleanliness campaigns, so garbage collection and such stuffs. But I took it more seriously after I began my undergraduate study in agriculture science. So after I joined agriculture science, there were a lot of organizations. So I started getting in touch with so many organizations. So at a time I was involved with around 40 organizations at a time. I started doing climate strikes with some celebrities, and I personally coordinated a few climate strikes. And then I got also involved with Eco Generation, which is a CSR project of Samsung Engineering. And through it, I conducted various campaigns, and I also mentor various youths for their climate activism. And furthermore, as an agriculture student, I feel that agriculture is one of the most affected sector by the climate action. So I have also been involved in climate smart agriculture technology. So I'm also working on it and trying to develop the technology and adapt it in various places of Nepal. And just like Ibothoi, Chan, and Quynh-Anh, so I have also been involved with several sectors such as plantation and garbage collection, lake cleanliness campaign. And during this pandemic, COVID-19 pandemic, so I conducted various campaigns and events. And through that, I got to know a lot of climate issues happening around the world. Got connected with many climate advocates, and together we all are working for climate action. And uh, s- I'm mostly interested regarding this water and ocean sector. Despite coming from a landlocked country, uh, our country is the second richest country in terms of water resources, but it is also the fourth most vulnerable country to climate change. And we are witnessing water shortages and a fragile ecosystem, and our lakes and rivers, they are being polluted day and now. Due to the climate change, our glaciers are also melting. And I come from land of Mount Everest, which is the tallest peak of the world. And it is melting at an alarming rate. I feel that if we cannot save water resources, oceans, and lakes, then I think we cannot witness the life and survival of the people on this planet. So I'm mostly interested in that sector. That's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Sagar. and thank you for sharing the specific issues in Nepal. And I can tell that you've done really a lot of amazing jobs in terms of campaigns, strikes, and awareness raising projects. And thank you so much for sharing. And then we'll go back to Ibothoi. You mentioned about you've been working in education sector for a very long time. Can you share us more why do you think climate education is significant, and how do you educate the local communities and youth in terms of protecting the environment and fight climate change?
Everyone knows education is an essential factor in the ever more urgent global fight against the climate change. Knowledge regarding this phenomenon helps young people to understand and tackle the consequences of the global warming, encourage them to change their behavior, and help them to adapt to what is already a global emergency. So, education is critical in helping population understand and address the impact of climate change. And in encouraging the changes in attitudes and behavior need to help them address the cause of climate change, adopt more sustainable lifestyle, and develop skills that support different modules of economies, as well as to adapt to the impact of the climate change. Actually, at the beginning, climate change was a challenging topic to address to the student and to my local community. So, education on the climate change is grounded in science, but it is also about behavior and action. It is about the environment and economy, but also about the quality, equality, and social organizations. It promotes the future citizenship that is environmentally and socially responsible on the global scale. So that I kept all this in my mind. So uh, from the general education, I started to educate and to add the climate education is also a intention one, is important one in the school education. And then after I have the familiar with how to say educate about the climate change to the young student. Then I started my spectrum to the education to the community. Say in our community we have the local youth clubs, and then women's associations. So I started to took the permission from the head of the local youth clubs of different area, and then from the head of the women's association. If I got the opportunity to share my knowledge, then I never ignore that opportunity. I went to them and I share about the climate changes. At the beginning, they don't care about the climate change. They don't know about the climate change. People actually, the effect of the climate change is indirect effect. It is not a direct effect. When when this year, if we cut down so many trees, then we will not understand the consequence at a rapid way. That is in the past way. It will affect some years or after some decades. That is why educating the climate change to the people at the beginning, it is a very challenging task. At the people, they don't care about the climate change. But I eventually, or I try many approaches to educate, to make them understand about the climate change. So even I share so many say videos or so many scenarios that happen around or around the one or around the globe about the climate change. So after some months, they are eager to listen me, and then I took that opportunity and share more and more scenarios about the effects that caused by the climate change, as well as I also try to interlace between the natural calamities with the climate, like the floods that happened recently in last year due to the melting of the ice glacier in the Himalayan range. So last year, in my country, that is in Assam, state of the country, they were affected by the floods. So that flood is mainly caused by the melting of the ice glacier in the Himalayan range, as well as in the last 2-3 years in my area, the farmers, uh, they were very serious about the scarcity of the water. That means that say low rainfall in the last 2-3 years. So I make them, that means in my community, I make them understand all these are say directly related with the climate change. Then they are serious about it, about the climate change. Then they are also try to act at what we can do at our level, at our capacity. So after they make realize, then I also make them responsible as the responsible person to fight this climate change. That is not my person issue. That means that that is I cannot, or I alone cannot fight this issue. We the people, we need to come out together. We need to join our hand together to fight this issue. That is why at the beginning I said earlier. So the plantation. So we some of the groups, they are planting more trees. The government also planting more trees every year during the occasion called the Ban Mahasab in India. Say not only in India, many other countries are also planting many trees. So this plantation, only this plantation cannot change about the environment. It cannot fight the climate change. First one, we need to make the people aware about the climate change. They need to make we need to make them a responsible citizen as it is my responsibility to act on it. In that way, after my people, that is my community people, understand about their responsibility, then now I am very easy to make them understand about the climate change. And then we have started some initiative at our local level, at our community.
Thank you, Ibothoi, for sharing your experience. I think education is actually a process to help people connect their daily lives with those, big terms, those hard to understand scientific like rationales behind climate change. But to find, but rather than that, it's find a way to help them relate and to help them understand, oh, it's happening in my life as well. And thank you so much for the sharing. So speaking of climate and SDG education, actually a starting point can be conducted grassroots level workshop among young communities. Try to find an interactive way to talk with them. So I know, Sagar, you are a proud mover facilitator. So we'd like to hear from you how Movers program works in terms of education for climate action, and you can also share more on your other advocacy experience on raising young people's awareness.
Thank you, Jasmine, for the question. Yeah, and first of all, I'd like to give the cheers to Ding Long, Linka, and everyone out there from the Movers community. So it is one of the most wonderful part of my life. So Movers program is a movement of volunteer to promote sustainable development goal awareness, entrepreneurship mindset, and develop the future skills for tomorrow's generation youth, so that they can do something great in their life. So basically, through Movers, we do various workshops, both online and offline. And during this pandemic, so our all workshop shifted to the online module. So during this pandemic, I got to join this Movers. And at first, I was not well familiar with the Movers, but the way the mentor, the way people from various Movers community mentor me, and I got to learn new experiences, new perspective for SDGs, for climate action, for gender equality, and for LinkedIn and business perspective. So it harnessed my skill and developed my personality to a new level. So I did not expect that such a platform was available for use previously, but thanks to UNDP, Asia Pacific Youth Collab, ILO, and various other partners, so Movers have been Movers have been creating a lot of volunteers in the recent time. And basically, to be in the Movers, so Movers is one of the wonderful platform for everyone. So we are also adding various new toolkits for the people to understand various perspective on SDGs, climate action. And I think someone has given the link on the chat, I think, regarding the Movers. So it is a wonderful platform, and I urge everyone to join it.
Thank you, Sagar. Actually, Movers is a train the trainer approach. So like every young people can take part in the advocacy by conducting the workshops on climate action. I personally also have done that, and I started to, find that's a very effective and easy way to help young people to know the ABCs or 101s to climate, and can help plant a seed in their heart. Maybe they will not act now, but they will know something about it, and maybe in the future they can do more. That's how we, create the movement among young people. And thank you for sharing that, Sagar. And next question I would like to ask Quynh-Anh. Actually, you mentioned that you are very interested in climate risk communication, and you also have some background in, commercial communication before. So how do you compare career life in UNDP, UNFCCC, or Green Climate Fund with your for-profit career lives? And how does the climate issue can be linked with communication.
Thank you for your questions. Yeah, like actually, I was writing my thesis on this. I was writing about research about the role of using humor in communicating climate issues, climate risk specifically. And I think I would not like giving a general comments on like the communications part of by UNDP on climate change or
就
anything.
感觉
but
你
I
好像
think-
写好了台本，就写台词。 没有。
I think someone forgot to mute. Yeah, so I was having this thought of integrating my background in communications and climate change, because I know that climate change was from my what I studied. I understand that climate change used to be originally was like a topic of scientists, just among scientists. And they use a lot of jargon and a lot of like technical terms that lay people cannot understand. So like we were like discussing a lot about like no one's understand climate change. What's the heck of climate change? It's like a definitions of like a very distant phenomenon that even myself, when I started to register to this course, I don't know what is climate change actually. So I just feel like, and climate change affects everyone, and everyone has the right to know what it is and how it affects them and how they can mitigate the impacts of climate change. So I just thought that, yeah, I should do like some research on this. And I found this partnership with the Red Cross Red Crescent's Climate Center expert, that this expert really focusing on trying to use humor appeals using cartoons to talk about climate change. And he because he knows that I interested in communications, and he also have like a lot of projects in how to communicate serious issues through this fun and entertainment tools. And it actually worked, but like there's not so many research on this. So I just took this opportunities and trying to dig deeper into this. And for climate risk communications, it's hard to make fun of this. But like somehow through my research, I found out that actually using fun and positive appeals could give people more motivations to act on this. Like and also of course they can use jokes, but jokes also like a kind of so for instance, I just it reminds me of like a stories of my colleagues from Philippines actually. During my times at the Green Climate Fund, I was interning there, and I was actually interviewing them for my research, for my thesis. I was doing my thesis during the internship there, and my Filipino friend, colleague, he was like giving an example about a type of root vegetables that is purple. I don't know if Jan know about this like purple root vegetable, but like somehow due to climate impacts is turning white, and it makes people sad because because it's not maintain the signature color of the root vegetable. And he said that, like, because my colleagues that work at the Green Climate Fund also had a strong background in comms, and he said that, like, we could definitely take advantage of this kind of localized climate impacts, that, like, people have emotions towards the purple root vegetable, and then you can, like, through that you can really raise awareness and really educate people about, like, you see your favorite purple colors gone away, faded away because of climate impacts. Just these, like, very light jokes could, like, also make a very strong impressions for people, for audience to hear. Because basically through my research, I know that we need to really renew our ways of communications, not just using fun and jokes, but, like, because we overuse fear appears and threat a lot. So I think it's also times that we should use more positive stories and fun to look at the issues, and then all act together. So yeah, that's my experience with climate risk communications.
Thank you, Quynh-Anh. I really like the example you shared, and I do think that's a very interesting angle to look at the communications, how we integrate humor as an element into it, and like make people less hostile to talking about this question, but rather to regard it as part of our life. So I'm also seeing Ding Long was said, like, Yan and Quynh-Anh should team up. So yeah, and I also found the and edutainment mentioned by Yan very interesting, and it's kind of related to what Quynh-Anh just mentioned, like how to use a more humorous and more down-to-earth way to communicate climate issues. So would you like to share more on this, Yan?
Yeah, I think because climate change is a huge topic. It's a huge topic to discuss, or a big crisis to resolve, and there's no single entry point to address this. We should look at multifaceted perspective or different angles on how a youth or how institutions can resolve this or can make people involved. Everybody is doing their part. Let's say in the UN climate negotiation process, we have the sciences, we have the engineering, communication people, agriculture, name them. They are all part of in addressing this climate crisis. But where is culture and the arts? Where is the arts and the heritage in the negotiation? We are not represented there. But again, we are indirectly involved by our graphics artists, our performers, our people doing the mural art. We are everywhere. We are even creating more visual visibility in different streets and in different ways to communicate through performances. But again, we are not represented on the table. So this is how I think my thinking was. No one should be left behind. Like, we should also be there, like arts and culture, whether it's tangible or intangible, because cultural perspective, it is rooted among us. Even if we go to different countries, our culture is in us, it's with us. So we bring it, and then we use edutainment because, again, we understand we have this grassroots analysis. Like, if we are giving them these super technical terms, as what how do you pronounce it? Quynh-Anh? Right, Quynh-Anh, right? So if there is already material like the posters, it is delivered in our classes, but still they don't understand, because for them it's a very vague topic to absorb to them, and it doesn't matter in their daily life. But again, for example, the dances in the Philippines, in fact, our the climate or the environment is actually rooted to it. Like, for example, we have this dances that is a mimicry of, let's say, birds, or let's say, the climate change. Sorry, about nature. So it's already there. All we have to do is how to collaborate these two ideas into one and let them understand. Like, yes, we need to protect, or we need to be part of this discussion, because it so maybe a few years from now it will vanish, the culture will vanish. So in Philippine context, we use edutainment because we have this sense of belongingness, the pride, like, whenever we represent something, like they are so proud that, oh, we are Filipinos and something like that. So when we curate our costumes, for example, when we participated in the biggest parade in Asia, it's the Chingay Parade of Singapore. It is not super popular in terms of performances because we brought raw dancers to Singapore. Like, these are survivors as well of Typhoon Haiyan. But what makes it super press attractive is our narrative. For example, when we put one of the endangered species in our region is the Visayan spotted deer. Like, it will be almost gone. So we put in the costume, like, the fur of the Visayan spotted deer, but of course it's not the actual fur. It's only like a fake one. We cannot kill a lot of deers just for our costumes. So we use the narrative of we communicate well. We have an effective communication, like saying that the Visayan spotted deer is endangered because of human activities, because of climate change. So we need to protect it. So we are trying to infuse the idea of climate change, and then while we are doing the trainings, we have this incubation where our performers are not only practicing the performances, but we are also trying to equip them with knowledge, with ideas on why is this important, why are you participating in this event. So when at the end of the day we have this edutainment, they are also one of our advocacy partners, where they can spread the information to all of their network. Like, we entertain them, we educate them. So that again, for Earthivism, this is not like a one-time shot. This is like experimental and a long-term process project where we understand, because in Philippines we have we are archipelago, so different region, different culture, and different approaches. So as what Quynh-Anh was mentioned earlier, that communication is it's actually a vague strategy to develop, and there's no like definite entry point to do this. So for me, in the context of especially Southeast Asia, we are very much we have this super ownership of culture and heritage. So we use it as an entry point to educate the people about climate, and it's effective because people are really like, okay, there's a show. So what's in their mind is there's a performance, there's a concert, a free concert. But what they don't know is we are actually educating them. Like, this is climate change. This is happening. When are we acting? When are we doing our part? So, yes, that's for edutainment and Earthivism.
Thank you, Yan. I personally really want to have a look about what this performances look like. So if you have any resources, please feel free to share with our audiences. And I bet everyone really wants to have a look of that. Thank you. Okay, so thank you so much for our panelists sharing for the day. So we talked about education, about communication, and how to engage young people in the process of climate action. So the final question to you all is, because our topic today is young people steering the future of climate change. So what role do you think that young people can play in the future to help guide the world for climate action? And as a young climate activist yourselves, what kind of suggestions or advice would you like to give to other young people who want to act for climate change? Because we will still have like 15-minute Q&A in the end of the session. So maybe you can be brief on these two questions, the role of young people and the suggestions you like to give. So this time, Sagar, would you like to go first?
Sure. I have been mostly working with various youths, mentor a few hundreds of them from various parts of the world. So, and especially during this pandemic, so I was engaged with a lot of youths with a brilliant mind and creative minds. I witnessed that they are all concerned regarding the climate change. We can just take an example of Greta Thunberg, being and just I think she's 18 years old. So she was nominated as the Time Person of the Year and was globally recognized for her activism. So the way she created an impact, so all youths can make a similar impact as well. I think that youths of today are concerned regarding creating more and more changes. So they are engaged in more and more activism. Even I think Zero Hour campaign and so many campaigns. So, but the problem lacking in them is that they are not continuing the activism for a longer time, and they are not awareing about the climate change to general audience. The thing is, they are doing activism within themselves and their circle only. So, as a global citizen and one of the global citizen, I think we all should engage more and more people. So we must aware more and more people regarding the climate change, how to mitigate the climate change. Sorry, I was muted. So did I miss a lot of what?
No, you only mute yourself for the final part of your sentence. It's okay.
Okay. So sorry. So I think that we need to engage more and more people, aware a lot of them, um, and also encourage the people to conduct advocacy and force the government to take the actions for bringing a lot of plans and regulations for climate friendly environment. For example, just for my country. So recently, my country has levied a 200% tax for electric vehicles. So which is totally against the climatic theme. So if such policies are prevalent more and more, then we cannot see uh, the end of climate change by the end of this decade. So I think we can engage more and more youth. And as a suggestion for the second part, I think I am very happy to see so many brilliant young minds involved in climate activism. So, but a lot of them quit after some time. So they just involved for some certificates and some campaigns for adding in the CV or biodata, but they don't continue that to a longer spectrum. So I urge them to have passions, to take it a little longer and fight for our Mother Earth. And I think we all can make a great change. And Jasmine, so, and I forgot about last time about the movers. So can I briefly share something about movers? So just a minute.
Yeah, of course.
Well, okay. So at first you attend to be involved in the movers community. So at first you attend a movers workshop. So after attending the workshop, so you will become as a aspiring mover. So you will receive various toolkits regarding climate action, gender equality, business employment opportunities. And after later on, you yourself, after attending 2-3 more workshops, so you can facilitate some workshops. So after facilitating the workshops, so you will be a mover. So you'll be a mover facilitator. So after being mover facilitator, you'll be provided with so many lots of resources and opportunities. So and you have to mentor some youth. So and later on, with the more and more workshops and engaging more and more youth. So and finally you can be a movers ambassador. So I urge everyone to please join the movers community. And it is it is an Asian regional platform, and it is especially designed for all the youths of the Asia Pacific. So I highly recommend it. Thank you.
Thank you, Sagar. And yeah, so yeah, everyone can take part, and starting your own workshop can be a great starting point. And thank you so much for your suggestion on you need to keep the activism as a long-term act, not a one-time thing. And that's a valuable piece of advice to young people. So what about Ibothoi? What suggestions would you like to say to other young people, and how
Yeah.
can young people act more?
To the youth are the first generation. That means we are the first generation to feel the impact of climate change, and possibly that they'll ask again do something about it. Half the world's population is now under the 30 years old, and those youths are becoming increasingly powerful political and social advocates for action on the climate change. So the new generation, that means that coming new generation have the energy, more energy. They have the more energy and knowledge to lead our society towards a low carbon and climate resilient future. So there is no doubt that youth of the world will save us from the catastrophic climate change. As you know, that we have the climate change as well as we have the solution to tackle it. To tackle the climate change. The problem is that who and how we utilize that solution. That is the only problem. So you need to raise the voice, and every youth has the right to participate in the decision-making process that impact them. They need to express their feelings, thoughts, insight that matter to them. And another thing is that rather than waiting for environment risks to be solved, say top down, young people should adopt a do it or a let's do it ourselves attitude to actively shape the system and structure destroying nature, starting from the individuals to start the acting in their local communities. So let's forget about the big picture. Just start from the individual level to the my local community. Then we can change something. So that youth should be trained on the climate change or climate issue that matter to environment thing, and give them a credible platform to convince, exchange best practice, and build their capacity to be a effective advocate. So I like to conclude that first one, the youth needs to be trained about the climate change. First one, we need to have the idea about the more causes, and then about the solution. That solution which solution can be adopted in my local community, or say what's the actual problem that happened in my area. So we talk about so many about the climate change, and the people, they don't know about the actual causes of the climate change that are happening around their locality. So starting from my locality, say for example, the Sagar told about the melting of the glacier in the Himalayan range. So I'm not, I cannot do, I can do nothing about the say melting of the say glacier on the Himalayan range, but I can do something from my locality. If all the people, all the youths have the responsibility to start something from their local, then we have the solution about the climate change. Let's forget about the big picture. Let's forget about the say increasing sea level of the water in the sea. So just start from ourselves, just start from my family, from my community. Then we can bring back the very beautiful environment. Thank you.
Thank you, Ibothoi. I really like the attitude of let's do it together, let's do it now. The attitude really matters to young people, and thanks for the inspiring sharing. Then yes, very well said, Ibothoi. Thank you for that. We have seen lots of resources coming in the chat as well, so feel free to share. And then we'll go back to Yan. So you've been working with the government, with COI, UNFCCC. So do you have any suggestions to other young people who want to take action?
Yeah, and also answering on your question, how is the young people can play in steering the future of climate change? Well, for me, be informed, be educated, be involved, negotiate. I think because without proper information, we always have this common mistake in youth development, in creating programs in the local level. Sometimes we do band-aid approach. We sometimes do it just because to tokenize or to gratify ourselves that we are doing something. But again, if we are well informed, we know that there is a deeper context in resolving climate issues. I'm going to give you an example. Most of the youth in my province are doing the tree planting program. But if you are not well informed, maybe you are planting the wrong trees. Maybe these trees are not native to the local, or these trees are not disaster resilient. So again, if you don't have the right information, maybe you are just doing a program that may not be sustainable or not will not contribute to any in resolving this crisis. So aside from that, we also have these unaccounted programs. Sometimes we only do quantity besides from quality. So for example, if we do thousands of educational program and we do educate young people in volume, but if we don't measure, if the youth are not equipped with the right skills, with the right knowledge, sometimes we forgot to measure the impact. How about the module, the delivery? Maybe this information is too much for them. We need to use the right pedagogy. We need to use the right andragogy to let the information absorb into their level. So I mean, if we have this kind of information, if we have the right approach, even if you only talk to 5 people, they will continue. They will do the ripple effect. So if we will be the future leaders, we need to see it in different perspective. We need to have the knowledge. We need to have enough knowledge for us to really address the crisis. We may not have the powers to enact policies, but we can vote the right leaders. We can communicate to our peers. We can drive consumerism that will turn the tide of investments of big companies and government. So I think that is the role of the youth: communicate, be informed, be knowledge, be educated. And again, I think before we do the Q&A, I will leave to you a one sentence, which is composed of 10 words, and each word is composed of 2 letters. If it is to be, it is up to me. So if you want to do the change, if you want to do it right now, if you want it to be, do it now.
Thank you so much for the words. Yes, thank you so much. And yeah, it's up to us. We might seem small as an individual, but you can drive big change. Very good sentence. If it is to me, it's up to me. Great. Thank you, Jen, for this. And then Quynh-Anh, would you also like to share your point of view on the question? What kind of role that young people can play, and do you have any suggestions for them?
So most of the panelists here cover all the top advice, and I think for me, as someone just working in this youth engagement thing for a few months, 5 months, I do see that youth can play some roles here. First of all, is they can be an amplifier, that like if they know, they understand the issues, they're aware of these issues, they should use this knowledge and share with others using the maybe creative communications, because that's what I think youth are good at. Because like so many people using TikTok videos that like using so many types of like attractive to like makes people pay more attention to the message that they want to bring. So yeah, first of all, they can like use the creative tools that they own, and they have fun doing it to spread the message, the important message. And the second thing is that I think they also need to be like I can say it's a bacteria from like from kombucha tea. Like when you do a kombucha tea, you have these bacteria that like can sustain forever, that like is just spreading around and make more kombucha tea. And this is also like a models that I think is closer to movers, how movers works right now, like trying to replicate the the knowledge and inspire more and more youth to do themselves. And and the last one, I think I would see the role of youth to become more like a connector, because this is the global issue. So they can like go beyond borders, like us right now. We are connecting to each other. We don't work in silo, just like doing maybe plant tree in one areas, but like we can see from see the whole ecosystems, like how is affecting the neighboring countries. For instance, like the Mekong Delta communities, youth can work together and solve the issues together. It's not just like a nation's issues, but we can all collaborate and work. And I think youth is because they are good at like technology, so the way they connecting one another is great to do this. So that is the three roles that I'm thinking that youth can promote. Yeah.
Thank you, Quynh-Anh. That's great advice, that to use multimedia stuff like short videos or performances, also use as connector. And I think that's really valuable and helpful to other young people in this room and maybe in outside that are interested in this topic. So we are also receiving questions from our audience. I think Jen, you've already answered the first question. How can we get young people interested in this? And we are also have a question from Imi, if I pronounce it right, from Bangladesh. He asks, since we know that if we want to take proper initiative to prevent climate change, collective effort is a must. Which strategies do you follow to raise awareness among the mass people in your country? I think many of our, all of our panelists kind of touched these questions a bit, but if you want to add something to answer Iman's question, feel free to unmute yourself and add up to the strategies that we can use to real awareness among the mass people. Jan, you'd like to add up?
I mean, we shall answer. We can answer, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Okay. I will try to break down that question into a more simpler language. The idea of marketing. So it depends on your target audience. Let me use a very, very funny example. If you are targeting people who loves ice cream, then talk to them in their language. Like, guys, you love ice cream, right? Like, maybe your poster or your materials looks like an ice cream, but with the context of melting, maybe the graphics will be melting ice cream. This is how the world will look like if we are talking about climate change. So you need to tailor, you need to understand your audience, like these demographics, this kind of audience that I wish to communicate, then talk to them in their language. If you are talking to older people, then maybe understand what are their, what do they like, what are their daily activities, and then from there you can connect to them. It's like, sorry for this, another example. It's like if you like someone, if you like a guy, if this is a girl asking, if you like a guy, you cannot sell yourself in a way that he doesn't like, sell yourself like, okay, what is his interest? Maybe he likes cars, so talk to him about cars. You know what, I love BMW, something like this. So in that way you have a common ground, you communicate with each other, and that's the point where you start to to engage. So same thing with climate. It's a very big topic, but try to break it down into simpler manner, simpler way, so they can understand, like, okay, this is how I can contribute, or this is how I can understand what you're trying to say. That's it for me.
Thank you so much, Yan. I really like the two examples, and that's really creative and very insightful. Okay, so we also have another question from Tian. he or she, I'm not sure, asked that if you have experience working with the government, how can like young people's voice be heard by the government? Are there any platforms for youth to communicate their demand for climate actions? So Tian mentioned about Vietnam, I think. So Quynh-Anh, would you like to take this question?
Sure. Actually, I saw these questions and I'm so happy that you asked these questions because actually at UNDP Vietnam, we recently had a kind of event called National Right Shops of a Special Report. This is like the first report written by a group of Vietnamese youth on climate actions by the youth here. And in this right shop, we also invited government officials to join and also like to have a dialogue, direct dialogue with the youth whenever they have questions and whenever, and also like to see also, yeah, this event for me, I see that it is a bridge, like a bridge between youth and the government of Vietnam. And before this event, I really thought that like the government officials, they are very unfriendly and actually they are not, they don't really care about the young people. But then when I see the government officials that they are interacting with the youth, answering every single questions, I really like boost my trust and my like good impressions on the government, and they say and I just feel so the questions of Tien's about like strikes are considered illegal in Vietnam, and it's true that it's very difficult to do a protest in Vietnam. It's very sensitive topic, and but I think we can also we can do something like maybe creatively or like strategically, that we don't call it a strike, but we can do it like maybe a bike tour or something that we can raise awareness among people, just the public. We don't need to really complain or criticize the government to really raise awareness about climate change actually. So we can go around it to do this. And actually the government, there are people in the government that they truly care about these issues, and that they trying to find ways to interact with youth more. So yeah, that's my experience with the youth engagement were at UNDP Vietnam. That's I really, after this as a youth, I also feel like yes, there are ways for us to engage with the policy makers. That like right now after this write-ups of this special report, we also like create a new network of Vietnamese youth for climate actions, and this network has been under the radar of the government's officials, and they know about this network. And actually we having like frequent interactions with them through UNDP Vietnam. And I think it's true that UNDP Vietnam and like the international organizations should be comes the catalyst and enabling environment for the youth. So maybe youth can count on these organizations, like trying to seek help and support from these international organizations to be able to communicate and engage with the government.
Yeah, thank you, Quynh-Anh, for the sharing, and I think that's really helpful for me as well. Also, I think Tian, you can also pay attention, maybe pay attention to the regional dialogue hosted by UNDP, UNICEF, British Council, and many other organizations that wants to engage young people into this. And in these platforms, as a collective, community, like we can have higher voices in that. Yes, thanks. Tian is also expressing.
I just want to add, sorry.
Yeah, you can go ahead.
Sorry, Jasmine. I just want to add in the regional dialogue that you are just share about is so our government, one of the government's officials that attended our workshop will be there, deliver a keynote speech. So you can also like ask about his opinions on how youth can engage more in the policy dialogue. Yeah.
Thank you, Quynh-Anh and Tian. Yeah, don't miss it. We have this great chance right after the discussion, and yeah. Okay, so thank you all, and we are almost running out of time because of your very insightful and sharings. And so we still have one more questions, but because of the timing problems, we can keep that. So do remember to fill up the attendance form to receive further resources, and we can help you connect with the panelists if you have further questions too. And before we officially end, I'd also like to invite Dinglong and Linka to give us a closing remark. And he also have some very amazing news for us and very interesting opportunities for young people to attend. And Dinglong and Linka is also from UNDP Asia Pacific.
Yes, thank you. I can go first, and I'll let Linka conclude everything. Very nice background, Lameya. So yeah, hello everyone. We started with, I think, 27 people, and we end with 50. So I think it's a good sign. Usually it's the other way around, you know. So it's really cool. Thank you so much to Jan, Sagar, Ibothoi, Quynh-Anh, Jasmine, for the great discussion. It was really, really cool. I was really excited for the panel before it started, and now I'm even more energized. Yeah, just to say, today's panel is just the beginning, actually. We'll have much more events. There is one workshop tomorrow, actually, where Jasmine and I will co-facilitate. So everyone spoke about Mora's workshop, Mora's program today. Thank you so much. We didn't force anyone to do so, to be totally transparent. So we'll have one workshop tomorrow. Feel free to join. If you haven't seen the information, we spammed everywhere, but feel free to message anyone in this call. I think you will probably find someone who is aware. And of course, apply to the regional dialogue, which will happen on February 9th and 10th. And I think the link is a bit everywhere as well. So I think some people will share. And I wanted just my last sentence before I pass it to Linka. Yeah, in this call, you have so many communities that are represented. We have YOUNGO. You can scan the QR code on the right of Jan. We spoke about Mova's program. We spoke about the Climate Reality Project. There is also the Youth for Climate Vietnam community. I've seen some Vietnamese youth over here, so you can reach out to all of them. So yeah, so many communities you can connect to right now. And yeah, and there's also a photo contest happening. There's so many things happening leading to the regional dialogue. So really, there's really so many things that you can do right now, from inspiration, from taking action, from reflection. So check if you, I mean, the information is everywhere on Facebook. So I think it's easy to find, but if you cannot find anything, just message me, message Jasmine, message anyone. We'll send the message to you. And yeah, I'll pass it over to Linka. Some of you, maybe you realize I cut my hair today. I had so much hair, 6 months of hair just until the panel. Anyway, that's random, but I'll pass to you, Linka.
Thank you so much, Dinglong. I don't think that the haircut is random. It says how much you are are expecting and looking forward to this panel discussion. So you want everyone to witness your new look. So thank you so much for having me to speak to everyone. I'm truly really inspired with every one of the speakers. And I think, I'm not sure if I missed this, but in case it's not mentioned yet, you probably noticed that Jan or Jen's background has a QR code, so you can get in touch with them through his QR code. And with movers community, if you're interested, or if you feel like you want to know more about how you can also take actions, you're very, very encouraged to join our movers workshop. And I think I also want to invite all of you to reflect all the questions that Jasmine just asked on the panelist, especially the first question, why they started to work on climate actions. And I want to throw these questions to all of you sitting here for 90 minutes. Because you are here for 90 minutes, I believe that you truly, genuinely care about it. You're truly curious about how you can take actions. You also want to do more beyond maybe share your personal experience or learn a little bit more from other people. So you are here because of a reason, and I want you to bring yourself back to that moment of how did you get yourself interested and learn more about climate actions. And so this is something that, you know, to be honest, without Ding Long, who actually brought me into this gigantic world of climate actions, of our future and environment, I was scared. And I was scared a year ago, maybe, and all of you, I'm sure you are more advanced than me. I was so scared to the extent that I don't feel like comfortable to getting to know more about it, because this is a topic that's so mysterious to a lot of us. And this is something that we've heard so much negative news about. So you might also have people around you also feel scared. So, but then the power of friendship can actually make that change. You start to talk about climate action, you start to bring this knowledge to people around you, even to your parents, and that will create a lot of change. Now I feel like I can more, like, even though, you know, with the ice-breaking question when Jasmine was asking how confident I am with my climate actions, I gave myself 5, but I guess a year ago I will give myself 1. So you see, that's 50%. Wait, that's what? 500% of growth of my confidence. So I hope that you can bring this 500% of confidence growth to everyone around you, and believe in yourself that you too can make other people believe that, you know, with our actions that we can make the future a little bit better. So thank you so much for joining us tonight, and we hope to see you in tomorrow's workshop in the regional dialogue. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Singlo and Linka, for the inspiring closing remarks. And yeah, I think after this panel discussion, my confidence level also grows a bit, thanks to you all, and thanks to all the audiences. Your feedbacks in the chat box really makes us a community that can inspire each other. Before we end today's discussion, may I ask all of you to open your camera and we'll do a group photo together. Yeah, so usually we do three types of heart. One is the small heart, and it's the, oh yeah, you got it. You got it, Quynh-Anh. The middle heart, and we have this big heart. So choose the type that you like. Oh, hi, Melanie. Hello. And I'll do the screenshot for you. So I'll keep the cue. 1, 2, 3. Next page. 1, 2, 3. Yes. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a good night. I'll see you in the upcoming events. Goodbye. Have a good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Good night. Stay safe.
Good night.